What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got another edition of The Drive-In, where I review for you guys recently released movies and tell you guys whether they're worth watching, worth waiting for, or worth skipping altogether. Today I've got my fourth of 5 straight reviews. I've been reviewing 5 different films throughout the night. They'll be going up about 2 a week for the next several weeks, so look for those over the next couple of weeks. If you guys have not seen my review for Becky, The Boy 2, or We Summon the Darkness, those are all on this channel from the last couple of weeks. Go check those out as well. Right now I'm reviewing 2019's VFW. It is a pretty popular horror release that just came out on streaming fairly recently. I just watched it. I heard it was quite a bit of fun, and I would particularly call it Night of the Living Dead for alcoholics. It would be what you would expect if, like, Night of the Living Dead were to cross with, like, Frank Gallagher in the bar from Shameless. If you took Frank Gallagher and all his friends from the Next Door Neighbor's bar from Shameless and mixed that in with Night of the Living Dead and just threw in some alcohol and drugs, I think it would be this movie, VFW. Simple premise, but somehow had not been done before. I really enjoyed this overall. The director was Joe Bagos, and I want to put over Joe Bagos here. I realized, so I watched this movie in full, and afterward I enjoyed it so much that I started to look up who the cast and crew were. And I saw Joe Bagos had also written and directed Bliss. So I went and watched Bliss as well. I will get to that in my next review. But I really enjoyed Joe Bagos' work. To spoil the next 2 reviews, I love this and I love Bliss very much. Joe Bagos is doing really good work. He is one of the up-and-coming, awesome, creative indie horror directors out there right now. Congrats to Joe. He was the director of this. This was written by Max Brallier and Matthew McCardle, and it was starring Stephen Lang, William Sadler, and Sierra McCormick. Sierra McCormick I recognize from Some Kind of Hate. That is a slasher movie that is currently on Shudder. That's a really good time as well. Stephen Lang we all know, of course, from Don't Breathe, which is one of the best movies of that year. I think it was 2016 that came out, or 2017. Really fun movie there. So you've got some pretty good horror ties in the cast for this thing. And the story is pretty simple. But like I said, what's crazy about it is that for as basic as it is, nobody had done it before. It's called VFW, and it's a bunch of retired veterans who are just like past their primes, kind of just beyond their years, all going together in their ex-military to get together at a veterans fire hall to drink beer and smoke cigarettes and watch VHS porn and just hang out and just share old stories and swap war stories and make fun of each other and just do what old retired VFW buddies do. Throughout the course of the night, right across the street there is a new drug that's coming out. I forget what the drug is called. I didn't write that down, but there's a new street drug basically that's making people go crazy and just, I think it's called Hype. Hype is the drug, and one of the girls sees her sister get killed and decides to steal the rest of the hype from the drug dealer in their clan and tries to run away and escape within the first 5 minutes of the movie. And so the clan is chasing her down, and they wind up intersecting at this VFW. So all of these crazy drug lords and all of their goons come across these ex-military vets who are just trying to have a beer and party and celebrate Stephen Lang's character's birthday. And we have an all-out war between ex-military and street thugs. So we've got this brutal kind of action-adventure thriller. It's not necessarily a horror, really. I mean, there certainly are ties to it. It's shot like a horror. It's got gore like a horror. There's elements of survival in it, which has horror tendencies, but it's mostly more of a tension action kind of movie where we really get immersed in the characters and the gore and the fight scenes, which are the shining stars of this movie. Sierra McCormick plays the girl who runs out with the drugs, and she, for a young actress, is really talented. I really enjoyed her in this role. She kind of plays a headstrong, sarcastic younger girl who is street tough and can stand up to even the military vets and can hold her own in some of these fights. And it's funny because the military vets, in spite of being retired and being old and kind of having really good chemistry and making fun of each other, they're also still ex-military, so they can all fight. They know how to strategize. They know how to do combat and defend themselves. So it's really based on this movie holds its own in the fight scenes and the chemistry of the characters, which is incredibly strong the entire time through. I see a lot of the same characters in this film that I see in Bliss, including the star of Bliss, who I think is going to be another major Scream Queen star, who I will talk about at length in Bliss because it is a horror crush of mine now. I love this woman. She's amazing, so talented and so beautiful. But this movie is so much fun. I mean, I literally gave you the entire plot there, and it's an hour and a half of fast-moving action scenes with good jokes, good gore, good chemistry. The VFW hall is a nice little beat-down setting for them. They're holed up in this VFW, so they've got to treat it like it's the Night of the Living Dead house, basically boarded up, try to withstand the attack of the many so quickly. The only difference between this and Night of the Living Dead is these people aren't necessarily zombies, they're just on drugs or searching for drugs. So very simple plot done in a very good way, where the writing and directing was very strong and the gore was strong, and it made for a good movie. I guess now I can get into the spoiler aspects of things, but I will say the one thing about this that I did not like, the only thing, was that the hue was colored red. The color correction on this film was done in very dark reds, and I guess that was to add to the tension of things being dark so you couldn't see around you as well, and it was kind of just like the lighting of the club when the power went out. But because everything was in this reddish tint, the gore didn't show up very well. So some of the fight stuff went a little undetected, and some of the gore just didn't show up because the blood is red, but the lighting is red too. So either the gels they used or the color correction and the editing and stuff. I don't know if it was done in camera or done in post, but either way, I think it was a wrong color choice. I would have rather seen dingy lighting or a different hue, because you've got all these cool, they use these cool weapons for kills. They use like toolbox weapons and stuff like that for these kills where blood's spurting everywhere and heads are getting crushed, and you can't see it as well as you'd like to because the lighting drowns it out. So that is the one thing about that that I would say is not that great. But the editing is smooth, the acting is good, the story is good, and it's definitely a fun, mindless, joking, survive the night kind of part horror, part comedy, part survival, genre melding thing where I really enjoyed this basic premise. So I would give this a 7.5 out of 10. Like I said, if they could have corrected the coloring, I'd have given it even higher. But all in all, that was the one little gaffe. I really enjoyed this. Stephen Lang's a star. Sierra McCormick's a star. The costuming's done well. I can't say enough good things about this. 7.5 out of 10. Now, for those of you guys that have seen this or don't mind spoilers, here comes the spoiler portion. So, basically, again, Sierra McCormick steals the drugs. The drug lords across the street are trying to bargain, and they want the drugs back. But in the course of trying to get the drugs back, the main character, the main bad guy's brother, gets killed, and so he wants to kill all the VFW guys. So they're all trying to fight for their lives, and this small group of military is trying to barricade the doors so they don't get overrun by these drug lords who want revenge. And it's basically just, again, a survival thing where some of the guys die. I think 3 of them live at the end, including one new character who comes in for the first time to this VFW. So it's just a basic horror survival where Stephen Lang and 2 other characters survive and make enough money with the drugs they have left over. They keep one little bit of the drugs in the fracas, and that little bit of drugs has enough money now to make them able to repair the bar, basically, and go back to normal. So they're able to recoup, and the good guys win in the end. But what a fun drug lord horror kind of thing. So again, for me, 7.5 out of 10. What did you guys think? Did you enjoy this as much as I did? Tell me in the comments down below. And I've got one more film to review, that is Bliss. So if you guys want to see Bliss, at the time that I'm putting this up, which is going to be maybe 2 weeks from now, a week from now, Bliss will be the next one I put up on this list. I'm trying to shoot these in sequential order. So if you guys want to know what I think of Bliss, come back next week and you will see the review for that. Thank you all so much. Take care.